What's going on, everybody? It's your man, 100 Grand, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm fempreneur extraordinaire and tech diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the Crossroads, where there's only one rule.
Be free to be you. Hey,
as many
Merry
times,
Christmas.
Merry Christmas and all that. You know, as many times as we do that intro, I still get scared of messing it up.
You say that every week, but you never mess up. So I don't know what it is you're afraid of.
I don't say it every week.
Okay.
I probably
every other week. We've only been here 4 weeks, so it's every other week.
Well, no, I felt like that for a while, like even last season. And I guess I really just wasn't saying it, but you know, I'm very glad to be here.
All right, well, so are the peoples. They already here. Hey, y'all.
What up? What up, B Hammond? Like, let's go.
Callie Bell, welcome. We're so glad to have you guys.
My energy is gonna have to be progressive. I'm sitting here. I'm normally having a drink on the show, but I got coffee this time.
Because he drank already.
I thought I was grown this afternoon.
Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. And I'm not even turned up drunk. You know, when liquor in my system, I typically I'm on. But yeah.
The night is still young.
I went to bed in the middle of the day. I couldn't even call that a nap. I went to bed. And then had to take another nap. That's what I called you. It was like, hey, make sure I'm up on time for the show. I was your holiday.
My holiday was great. I was glad to go home because it was 83 degrees. It was 83 degrees. So that was, that was pretty exciting. And everywhere else, it seemed to be freezing. So,
Yeah, here.
I was about to say, was it freezing where you were? I know you were talking about.
Yeah, we're on the whole freeze warning. Like, there's signs all over the place. Like, because we have to. Yeah, we have to make sure that our faucets are dripping, that the heat stays on, like keep our heater on, and then make sure our cabinets are open so that the pipes don't burst. In our place. So, and then of course, going outside is an ordeal. You gotta layer up, and then I had to go make sure I had all the fluids in my car because my car wasn't blowing hot air, so I needed some coolant.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean,
sounds like an ordeal.
It's always an ordeal. It's been an ordeal every year since I've been here. I'm used to it now, so it's kind of like, what next? But y'all, we got an exciting show tonight. Like, I think everybody who is prepared for tonight's discussion, it's kind of limited. We got some people that couldn't watch the show tonight because they haven't
finished watching.
Right, they haven't done the pre-work. So tonight's show,
it happens.
Right. So I will say this. I'm gonna say this now before we do our sponsors. Like, because of what we're talking about tonight, we are going to be unpacking the Best Man Final Chapter series. So if you're watching and you have not seen the series, we're telling you now. It's mad spoiler alerts. Spoiler alerts. Yeah, because we're not gonna try not to say no. We're saying all the stuff. So we're gonna be being very specific in scenes and thoughts. So if you don't care about spoilers, please stay tuned. And keep watching. But if you are worried about spoilers, it will be on the B side of the show, so you can stay with us early on, and then when we switch over to that discussion, you may want to. I hate telling people to not watch. Like,
no, we're not gonna say don't watch. We're just telling you there's a spoiler alert. Right. You make your own decision after.
Right. Or it's still gonna be on the channel. So when you do watch, you can come back and watch the show. So make sure you come back and see the discussion, but you may not participate live. But in order for that to know when future shows up, we need y'all to go ahead and subscribe. But as always, we're gonna pay these bills off the rip. So, y'all, the Crossroads podcast is brought to you, as always, by the House of 334.
the house.
For all your business branding and copyright needs, go to houseof334.com. It is Black owned, it is Black woman owned, and it is amazing. The Crossroads podcast is also brought to you by The Crossroads. So y'all can go to our bit.ly, which is bit.ly/The Crossroads. All of the links for everything we do are there. We also take donations. So y'all, this is a labor of love, but love ain't free. And if you think it is, go tell your landlord that you love them. Also, if you want to be a sponsor on The Crossroads, you can email us at thecrossroads@gmail.com. Or no, it's Crossroads Podcast. I'm sorry. We got so many different links. So it's crossroadspodcast@gmail.com. Send us your information, and so that we can correspond about you being a sponsor of The Crossroads. And as always, please don't forget to subscribe. You are watching us on YouTube right now, so just scroll down a little bit, click the bell, subscribe to get all the alerts and notified when we're going live. Also, when our pre-recorded shows begin to air for season 2. So we got a lot of exciting things that we're going to do, and we want to hear from you as well. So there's information on how to join our Facebook community where we have the discussions and everything else. So we're doing a lot of great things, y'all, and we want you to be a part of all of that.
Whew. He does that very well.
Well, you know, they say a man posting on how to pay the bills, right?
That's what they say.
That's what they say. Who don't want a man that know how to pay bills?
Well, I know you don't want to be involved with that. Well, all of them.
I don't want to pay all the bills. Like that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. You know, I stand firmly on some we and some partnership.
Right.
But yeah, so what we got going on this week?
Well, first, before we move forward, I do want to make sure that we acknowledge each week we do an acknowledgement of those of you who are subscribing, because we are on a mission. We're on a mission for subscribers. We're almost to the halfway point of our first goal. So every little bit helps. Please subscribe if you have not already. If you're already watching us on YouTube, if you're not a subscriber, click that subscribe link, click the bell so that you know when we are on live. And so we want to give a shout out to Brandy Reddick. Hey. Welcome to the Crossroads family, the Road Dogs and the Roadies. I don't know if like one side is men and one side is women, or you just pick the side that you want to be on, but those were the names that were chosen. So thank you for joining the family, and we look forward again to recognizing those of you each week. We actually have more than one subscriber, but as I mentioned last week, I think some of your profiles may be private, where you don't want people to know what you're subscribing to, which is okay. So you can always send us a DM. We will make sure to shout you out. Otherwise, if we see your name come across our feed, we'll share it on the next live.
Yeah, I mean, right? Y'all not gonna lose your job for watching this, y'all. I've cleaned it up.
Yes, it's a clean house. Clean house.
I might drop a word here or there, but he's
done very, very well so far. So we're
and
grateful.
Y'all, in addition to subscribing, make sure y'all share the show. You know, we love the faithful that we have here, but we want to get more faithful. So more people that are faithful to the show. So if you're on here, share the link, share it on your page, share it to people that you know would love the show and want to be part of the discussion. The more the merrier, and we welcome it all. So yeah.
Oh, all right. So we've done all of our housekeeping, and before we get to the best man, the last chapter, we do have just kind of a follow-up from last week and probably the last couple of weeks, right? With Tory Lanez was found guilty on all counts this past week. So right before Christmas.
And the internet world went up.
It was going down.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so crazy. Why does my monitor now want to come on and try to
who knows? Y'all,
technology and it's, you know, whatever. So Tory Lanez was found guilty on all charges, and I think that there was a lot of people who were surprised by that. I was definitely surprised by it.
I was surprised by all counts. I like I said last week, I definitely thought being in possession of the firearm. He was, going to go down
Stupid.
because
Yeah.
of that. But it just seemed like there was so much fog, if you will, about it that I didn't think that he would be found guilty on all counts. But there were folks, I mean, like the think pieces, the, break up with your dude if he supports Tory, if he signed a petition to free Tory Lanez, you don't need to spend your holiday with him, sis. I was like, oh my God.
Like, so to be honest, I think that's the biggest plot line to all this as far as social media goes, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I wasn't big on Tory. I only knew who he was. We talked about this. I only knew who he was when this all went down. Like, ooh, Tory Lanez. And I was like, who is Tory Lanez?
Bars had to send me some links this weekend because I was like, I don't.
Right. She was like, when it's a rapper, I was like, he's not a rapper though. She was like, what?
I thought he was all.
I was like, you've heard his songs, I've actually had some of his music on my playlist. I just didn't know it was him. If I like a song, I add it to the playlist. I don't know what's what sometimes. So I was like, oh, that's him. Because you look at him and you don't think he's singing. You think he's a rapper or the way,
Yeah.
So we stereotyping people.
Our bad.
Yeah. But a lot of it, and so y'all chime in on this. I saw a lot of posts like Dre said, like, ladies, if your man was supporting him, or if he's think this, or it's telling how a lot of men ain't supporting men. I'm like, yo, first of all, there was hella women that were thinking the same thing. So my question is, what does that mean? Is it telling on them? And so it's like, I don't even think that it was a gender divide. It was like a 50-50. There were men and women that supported him being guilty on all charges, like he did it, blah, 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 blah. And then there were men on women on the other side that didn't think that he did it, or blah, 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 or what's the girl named Kelsey or whatever. Like, I saw a lot on both sides, but it was just always, if the men think this, then that's the problem. And I'm like, what is that? Why?
Well, a lot of women felt like this was another case of women not being believed, definitely women not being protected, and in fact assaulted, shot. And so I think, regardless of the facts, and I'm not saying that he's innocent. I'm saying it doesn't matter what the facts were. I think that was going to be the outcry. Like, save Meg, save women, because there are so many instances where, women are overlooked and they aren't protected. I mean, we are still, we're only a little bit removed from even getting any action on, Breonna getting killed in her bed. So we're, there's a lot of that. And then so many other women's names that we didn't have time to call them all, So I think, this was some of that. Also, from what I understand, because again, admittedly, I didn't follow this very closely, but like, he was showing his butt, like he was taunting her and all kind of craziness. And I'm just like, okay, if you didn't do it, don't just let the stuff play out.
I think it was a lot of that going on both sides, where she was posting texts of his and everything else. But I think the reality is, in the court of public opinion, he was guilty before the trial ever started, right?
Sure.
And so I don't think it was, and that's a thing too, is when we say like, oh, believe women and stuff like that, because you got a lot of dudes that's like, I know personally I've been lied on, and there were some details that they were saying, oh, well, Meg lied about this, Meg lied about that. And I don't like, let me say this, I shed no tears for him, because one, I don't know him. Two, you had a gun, which was you was going to jail anyway, which you should, because you were already like, you're doing something stupid. Now,
right.
I think as far as the details and the facts, one, nobody denies that she was shot, right? And so I think the question was, by who? And for me, without and admittedly not knowing a lot of the details, and I didn't follow the story closely, so this is not. I'm not emotional either way, or I have or really have a strong opinion. But from what I understand, I'm not even gonna say from what I know. From what I understand, there was no his DNA was not on the gun. His fingerprints were not on the gun. The other girl was granted immunity and not even on trial. So I'm like, why was that necessary? You know what I mean? People were bringing up like the apology in the text messages, but he didn't apologize for shooting her. He said, I'm sorry, like, oh, this all went down, and I feel bad, right? And so it was kind of like, I think we found out he was sleeping with the best friend too. So I'm not saying that he wasn't apologized for shooting. I'm not saying that he was. I'm saying if we're going just by facts, then it's like, whatever. And correction, it wasn't saying that his DNA wasn't on there. It was inconclusive, which you can't prove that it was. You see what I'm saying? But there is a big difference between not and inconclusive.
And inconclusive.
Right.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I was surprised because just like you said, the details were murky. You know what I mean? But I just hate how, regardless, if people think he did it, then that's what they believe. But then it's like, people are not allowed, or should I say men are not allowed to think he didn't do it, and I don't get that when it was.
Well, we should have Brittany Danielle on here last week when we was trying to put all the pieces together.
Right, but I thought wasn't somebody missing or something like that. But then and I heard again, I don't know, but it was like folks are saying, "Oh, I didn't see it. I don't know."
Yeah, well, the article I read was that someone said that Kelsey shot her, but then we had someone in the group that said no, that eyewitness said it could have been either one. I was like, well,
right. So when it's all over the place, like nothing is just saying like boom, 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 right? And then again, I think people's opinions or lens rather, a lot of times leads toward their narrative. So personal experience drives a lot of our opinions and our view. You see what I'm saying? Like it was, if you've been through something and something's happened to you and people didn't believe you, sometime in your life, then yeah, a lot of that's going to sway towards, believe Meg, yada, yada. But if you've been in the situation on the other side, it's going to be like, let it play out. What are the facts? This, you see what I mean? And then the dad was, for me, understandably angry. Your son is going to jail. So I don't know how people were thinking that he was supposed to react and like not be upset. Oh, teach your son this. Like your child just got found guilty and is facing 20-something years. Like any parent, guilty or innocent. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I get that.
Like they're supposed to be like his parents are supposed to come out there and talk about justice was done. Like what? No, that's not how that goes. Nobody wants to see their child go to jail. You got people that they baby done been to jail 4 or 5 times every time they cry. Like that's their child. You know what I mean? And some people know who their child are and they still shed tears. So put it in there 5 times.
Yeah. So yeah, child.
Either way, like
he had the gun in his hand, she had the gun in her hand, shot in the air, shot toward the ground. It's just shots everywhere.
Right. And at the end of the day, he shouldn't have had no gun, period. Right. So if there's no gun, then but
at the end of the day, which is what we said, on this show, and we'll continue to say, like Meg did get shot, like that we are not refuting that. And so for that, I couldn't even imagine the trauma that goes with that. Like, thank God it was like, I don't want to say just her foot, but there wasn't any damage where she couldn't walk anymore or twerk. Yeah, that's how she make her money. She can't plant her feet and pop it. That would be a problem. Right. So, I'm just glad that that this is over. and hopefully she can, get to a place of healing. Whatever the truth is, that the assailant hopefully is not the friend, and that she's not, just on easy street. But clearly somebody shot that girl. And so for that, somebody had to pay. Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
She got shot. That is something, all
Somebody had
point valid, but she did
right.
get shot.
Right. And I'm wondering how innocent the other girl is really,
Stay off social media when facing charges.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
And people are so enthralled with she's I want them both to go to I don't like girl she got something to do with it.
Something. Absolutely.
She got something to do with it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like you supposed to be the best friend, supposed to be, but you smashing, you know what I'm saying? Yo, why is my LB calling me in the middle of my show?
He must not be watching. LB.
Nah, he ain't watching. That boy got 6 kids. He ain't watching no show. But yeah, that whole her getting granted immunity thing does not sit well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't do it, you didn't do it. So what do you immunity from what? I'm like, you know what I mean? And then he was like, I guess begging them was gonna pay them like not to talk, because he was facing charges either way, whether he shot her or not. So yeah, y'all. But I just wish that we can get to a place to where people can have their lens, right? Like this whole, if you think this, then something's wrong with you. No, what's wrong is we don't see it the same way, right? It don't change what none of us got to do tomorrow. We still got to get up and go to work.
Now that's part of true. That part is true.
And so we know someone was shot. We can speculate because this is what we do in the internet. None of us were in the car. We don't know what happened. He may be 100% guilty. He may be 70% innocent, right? He had the gun, so he's guilty somewhere. Not somewhere. He's guilty, but we don't know exactly guilty of what. And then this is what kills me with some people though. It's like because he was found guilty, they like, see, we told you he did it. Being found guilty doesn't mean you did it, right? We know this with other cases that were not, like with people that have been sent to jail. You have to go far to find people to say that OJ didn't do it, right? Even though we all cheered when he was acquitted, right? On today, who think OJ didn't do it, right? He was acquitted. Does that mean we knew he didn't do it because the jury said he didn't do it? He didn't do it? No, that's not how that goes. You see what I'm saying? And so, everybody wants to be vindicated on their opinion. Yes, yeah. So it's again, clearly only one person knows what happened, right? And that's whoever pulled the trigger, because everybody else acting dumb. You know what I mean? The person who shot her knows that they shot her, right? Tory's in jail. He deserves to be in jail for violating whatever he violated, the exact charge, like having the gun, right? But this whole, we allow other people's lives to take charge of our own so much. Yeah. And that kind of worries me sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like, for me, I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm not 100% convinced that he did. But I'm not the judge or the jury. I don't care enough. You see what I'm saying? I hope she's okay. I hope that the story was all, true. But there was a marquee of like, oh, she be lying. She lied about this. That, like we get so far off of what actually happened, and we want to go everywhere else to try to prove a point that it's just crazy. I don't know. But well wishes to everybody involved.
Indeed. All right. Now for what we came here for.
Oh, it's a feelings going around the internets, the interwebs.
So excited to hear from all of you. what you thought. So already, just start putting in your comments, like, what did you think of the series overall? How the characters have evolved, if you think they've evolved, but just some general thoughts about The Best Man, the final chapters. And while you're doing that, just, I don't think you would be watching this per se if you have no idea what The Best Man is or the franchise, but
we're gonna run down the characters.
Just in case. Just in case you're like, what is this Best Man everybody's talking about? So the Best Man is a franchise at this point. Started in 1999, which is crazy. Ooh. Vividly remember the movie College Friends. 1999.
23 years ago.
Yes. College Friends reuniting at the wedding of one of the gang. And the Best Man is an author and has a book coming out, and there's a lot of buzz behind it. And in this book, he proceeds to share college exploits, and each of the friends is able to identify themselves in the book. He, however, changes a scene where he actually sleeps with the groom's wife back in the day. But he changes the scene to be a forehead kiss, which all the people, in the gang is like, that wasn't no forehead kiss.
Right.
But he changes, he thinks that's enough of a change to disguise what he's actually.
And the forehead kiss is coming on the ending of her finding out that he had been cheating on her several times.
Right. So, yes, he was a college athlete out there doing his thing. And, found out that his best man has slept with his wife to be the night before the wedding. And drama ensued. Like, for real drama.
Yeah, listen.
It went down. And so
beat his ass. That's what happened.
And there it is. And we had, the other characters, of course, were showing their involvements and how some of them were coupled up and broke up and all of that kind of stuff. But that was the central story of The Best Man. We go into, so I think it would have been 2013. Okay. 2013 is The Best Man Holiday, which I love the movie until, right? So
super emotional.
The friends get together again for the Christmas holiday. They are now all invited over to the bride and groom from the original movie, Lance and Mia. Everybody's invited to Lance and Mia's house. They now are married for close to 14 years.
Harper's now married. They
have 4 kids. Right. Harper has married his girlfriend from the series. And then Merchant and Candace. So without having to go into all, we'll get into that. But there are different relationships that have happened in the crew. And so everybody, their spouses and or significant others, are invited to the home for the Christmas holiday. And the goal for Mia was to get Lance and Harper back together as friends. And a lot of things happen, but she does succeed in that because it comes out that she has cancer and she's dying, and she actually dies while they're there for the Christmas holiday, which, everybody's tears. I can't watch that movie as many times. I've watched The Best Man a million times.
I've only watched Best Man Holiday maybe twice.
Yeah,
because
me too.
Everybody was talking about, like, so I had the spoiler of the last scene when Mia dies and Lance breaks down at the burial. And I knew that was going to happen, and everybody said, "Oh," when he started crying, so I knew it was coming. I was like, everybody. And then I saw it, and I was like, Because it's one of those scenes where it's hard not to put yourself in that place. Like, what would you do if that were you? And so it's kind of like you start to feel or try to feel like, if it hasn't happened to you, I don't think you can ever imagine how that feels. But like, to even glimpse into that and try to put yourself in that place, it was still hella emotional. And I was like,
it was
damn, bro.
And if you felt like you knew the characters, right? Like, we had already had that, the original movie, and if you've seen, and many of us have a million times, and even though like they are characters, not the people, but we followed the people throughout their careers, and then it's like, oh, everybody's getting back together. Wait, you killed somebody off like that?
Right.
I was mad.
And it begs the question that we can talk about later, but like, because we talk about like once a cheater, always a cheater, or like character, right? So Lance, and we know this is a movie, right? So it's like, it's real life. We knew who he was in college and before he got married. Football player, professional football player, but this man loved his wife. And he never, as far as we know, is in the writing that he never cheated on her once they were married.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, is that real life? Can a man that was, you know what I'm saying? And the ladies love Lance, they love Morris, so it's almost like they
look.
He walk in the room and it's
I saw it in the comments.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just tell you, I have never experienced, even at a live, like we were looking at someone on the screen. I have not experienced at a live concert what I experienced in the movie theater when Morris Chestnut hit the screen in that first movie. Okay, when he comes into the bar, it's pandemonium in the movie, but also in the movie.
I know.
It was going down.
Listen.
But yeah, I don't. Anything is possible.
Are you having a moment?
No, I was gonna say I don't think that's real life, but I just have to leave room. Anything is possible.
I don't know, because you used to laugh at me in college.
No. I'm not talking about people
cheering,
emoting when someone walks in the room. I'm talking about going from being a dog to being a faithful husband because you said I do. Okay, I would not. I would not test that theory. Okay, I wouldn't.
I mean, but there was. I would say this. There was a time lapse between him cheating and them getting married. So he may have straightened up long before that. She clearly believed it or trusted him to do so, which is why they still got married. Or maybe she just knew, like, this is who you're gonna be, and I'm not gonna tell you, because I've actually seen it too. I've seen it.
You see people go from left to right?
I've seen how certain women move. So there was somebody that I know who's doing.
We're talking about in the new series when he opened the door. Hey.
Yeah. So, but she was moving her own way, and he had no idea, and she was just better at it. So yeah. When you think you don't know, or when you think you know, you don't know.
And I think that was this series, if you will, right? Like Mia was the virginal, could do no wrong. She was studious. She was pretty modest. Like when, they did the flashback scene, she, just looked
spiritual and
and
I think they almost made her a little bit too goody too. Like
that's what sounds like. Okay. And so
hello, my sister.
Yeah. So it was hard for Lance to even imagine her any other way, right? Like that you would have been with anybody, let alone like my best friend, like right here. You did this right here. And so that was a reality check for him.
Yeah,
as well.
But what can you do after all? Like they said, after all the sticking and moving you done did.
And he had to take it on the chin.
The fact that everybody else knew before he did. You know what I'm saying? Like,
which became a pattern for Harper, and I think we see that even in this new series as well. Not necessarily with Lance, but you do see it.
Yeah. Then you got
So
go ahead.
ahead. No, I was just gonna say, so that was holiday, and then we move into final chapters, which takes us from 2015 to 2024. So it actually takes us even further than we are right now. And all of the characters, where they are post losing Mia, Harper and Robyn was his wife. They had a baby at the end of Holiday, so now they're parents. The interesting thing that I did notice, and I don't know where it happened, but then they all wound up living in the same city because that wasn't the case initially. So now everybody's in New York. And so no, we haven't even started talking about she's like, I gotta go. I'm like, we haven't even
we ain't got there yet.
We'll tell you when you need to leave. This is just a synopsis for those who haven't or not familiar. So yeah, it takes us through this decade, if you will, of their lives, which we will get into. But I thought it was great that they decided to do a series and not just give us 2 hours and say,
and I was, before I watched it, I was wondering, like, how are they gonna do that? Like, what, you know what I mean? But it was good. It was different to see a deeper dive into all of the characters. It wasn't just a focus, and like everybody else wasn't just a backdrop to like the main character. So it was really like Harper, Lance, Jordan. Pretty much that's where it focused. And then this one, it's like you got to know
got everybody.
And you got to see sides of all of the characters that you didn't get to see before, especially you can log off now, Brittany.
You got about 10 seconds.
Got about 10 seconds.
Head start.
And I'm just taking a slight beat so that they can look. So to take deeper dives into characters like Shelby, like Quentin, to see those vulnerable sides of them was real interesting. I think that it was open-ended with some of the characters, like Murch, right? Like there was no resolve to his issue, where he felt emasculated in a lot of ways, or the butt of all the jokes and stuff like that. And so then when he went off on Quentin and stuff like that, we never saw that come around full circle to get that resolution between he and Harper, because then there's
other stuff going on.
So as a series, I think there were some gaps that weren't filled, and I think in some places I think they tried to do too much. And
that's what I think somebody said,
and didn't complete the story, like Will, old boy at the resort, where Jordan was feeling him, and then it was like, hey, I'm gonna see you back in New York, and then we never see him again.
And
what
did he say in her ear? I was like, what?
Oh yeah,
that scared the mess out of you, sis.
Yeah, some nastiness. And so I'm thinking like she's gonna be into Demetrius, and then all of a sudden here comes Will, and then there's this internal conflict of who she wants and blah 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 blah, and then Will ends up being everything Demetrius wasn't.
I didn't think that at all. I was like, this is gonna circle back around to Harper. Like I what else are we here for?
Which it did, and I think that was open-ended too, because it never really said if they did it or not.
Indeed.
Like we saw them, because at first it was like, oh, they kiss, and then they go. Then it goes back like, oh, we know something's going on, and then we start kissing again, and then it's like, well, did they smash or did they not smash? You know?
And so I'm hoping. I think the goal was for this to be the closer, but I think after the response, and I don't know why they would think that we wouldn't respond, because people are so connected and attached to these characters. But hopefully there will be another, season where we can get some resolve. But like you said, because they did so much in this series, then it's like, well, kind of where do we go next? Even if you close, the loop on certain things, do you have enough for the 8 episodes like you gave us in season 1? So it'll be interesting to see. So I would like to know, because I don't even know if there's a way to cover 8
Everything,
episodes in full tonight, but we can kind of jump around and see what works for everybody. But for those of you who are watching us, and even for us, if you can identify with the character, right, or your favorite character, go ahead and put that in the chat. We'd love to hear that. If it's somebody that you're like, you know what, this person resonates the most with me, or I see myself as this person, we want to know in the chat. And then those, we can do some deep dives on those particular characters.
And if y'all got questions that y'all want us to talk about and address, drop it in the chat. Drop your feelings, your emotions, like dive in
your emotions, because
it was a lot of emotion. So if you could identify with any of the characters, I can't even say like which one, because I think different points it could be different ones. Like, who would you say you identify with the most?
I identified most with Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I identified most with Jordan. The ambition, the planning, the control. I've gotten a lot better with that, but it is what it is.
So how does being married inform that part?
I think that's what I said. I've gotten better with that. Like, I don't think I would have gotten here being the same way, but there are still some things and control, mostly when it comes to like work and career. I've never been gotta be in control in a relationship. I have felt that I needed to be in control in a relationship until now, but that has never been my desire.
That leaning forward was like
now let's be clear.
Right. My
goal has always been, because I have to work it out here. When I'm here, I want to be able to do this. So yes, but getting to the point of marriage, like when I was looking at her, I could identify with the longing, like even when she, was crying and lamenting, like about not being a mom. Like, okay, not that I would have planned that, but here was an opportunity, and now it got ripped from me. Now I feel a kind of way, because there's an emptiness. As much as I have accomplished, as much as I have done, now I don't feel that way about children, but I did feel that way about relationship. When I had gotten to a certain point, it was like, okay, go to school, stayed out of trouble. The goal was not to get pregnant, and don't be on drugs, and all the don'ts. And then being an entrepreneur and succeeding in a way that I didn't really even think was possible, and being able to sustain myself like that, and all these things. And then I was like, now what? Where is the family? Where are the memories? Where is all of that? So when she was emoting in that way, I was like, I recognize that, or I've been there. And so I was glad to see her at least taking steps to address it, because, one thing that, in women, we do this because we recognize it, right? Like, oh, I need to do more self-care, but we don't really know what that looks like practically, right? Like bubble baths and journaling, but like for real, every day, you're not doing that. Like, what are the practical ways to take care of yourself? Or how do I order my life so that I don't have to take a vacation from it? Right. And so those are some of the things that
was profound. I just want to let's acknowledge that was bars. That was bars. Yeah. Like, how do I arrange my life so I don't have to take a vacation from it?
Yeah. All right. That's the goal. That's the goal right there. So yes, I would definitely say, even though you try to take a jab at me, it's okay. I do identify most with
I didn't even take a jab. I said I didn't want to say.
You was like, well, that's the jab. You were so happy, like, whoo, she said it, so I didn't have to say.
But no, I mean, like, control in the sense where you don't do well with not knowing things.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Like, go with the
Even me and the
flow.
Lord, I'll be like,
Go with the
"Give me
flow
more."
is not, it's like, what are we doing? What time are we doing it? How is it gonna go? Like, you're very detail oriented, which is good, but can also be not so great.
Not
you
so
know.
great. You're right. You're right.
So but yeah, I think for me, I identified with all of them in some way, least of all merch. Like, that's merch ain't me.
Merch
Um
ain't me.
I think the only area I probably identify with merch in the first movie, in the sense of the relationship he was in, just like
Mm-hmm.
dealing with a complete shrew, you know.
And there she
Yeah.
is.
And
I
there she
appreciate
is,
it,
right, right.
Shelby.
And maybe
And
in the
tell us
series,
why. What Callie Bill, tell
mhm,
us what about
you
Shelby you
appreciate, yeah.
appreciate. And you keep talking though,
Yeah.
too.
So, but like with Harper, the ambition, I mean, being an author, and being so focused on what you're trying to build, and then dealing with that in a relationship, like that tunnel vision type thing. Um, being blamed for damn near everything, like everything is your fault. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even when some is, some isn't. Um, identifying with Lance, I had a stint in my life where, you know, I was doing what I do. You know what I mean? Like the popularity, the walking into a room and people recognize you, and that kind of thing. The being very much in love with somebody. Like, you were there throughout the whole point of my life. Like, everything was all about baby. Um, Q, just like being real. I think just Quentin is just real. But
There's another
then,
one for you.
yeah, it's just like, I
I
think
like that.
Q was a lot deeper than people ever gave him credit for.
Yeah, he
And
really
we
was.
never really saw what he did until like the series, like being this real estate mogul and like doing well. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like in the first movie, he's trying to figure, like, rich family, but he's still trying to figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
what's his lane. And then now he's arrived, he's figured it out, and he's that guy, you know. And I think in the series, he's more that guy than the others.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and I think just sometimes realizing what you want, and figuring out like that person, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Um, and then just going from this hard persona, this I don't give a F about everything, to going to this super vulnerable moment. I'm on my knees begging you to come back to me. Like, I
Ooh,
don't want to lose you, right? Like, he gave up everything that people knew him to be in that moment.
yeah.
This, do whatever you want, I can't stand you, blah 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 blah. And when she made him say it, like, you really gonna make me say this?
Yes.
Like, I don't.
Hey,
And to say, to tell a woman, I don't know who I am or what I would be without you. Never mind the
that
fact that
was
you used to be
deep.
with my, yeah, it was very deep, and to see that
And I
come
didn't
from
realize
him.
that they were that deep, right? Like I thought, okay, yes, they care about each other. They really like each other underneath all of that. I hate you, but I didn't see the depth. That
Yeah,
surprised
I
me.
don't
I
think.
was like,
Well, I kind
ooh.
of like, but then when you keep alluding to, they keep hooking back up, like they
Mm-hmm.
always had this intersection, right? He was the only one that could really tame her anyway, even when she was with Merch. Like, hey, just do
Now
this,
let's
just
talk
do
about
that.
that. Let's talk about that. Because,
Uh-huh.
bros before, all of
Right.
that. Is that a thing?
What, bros
Like,
before hoes?
no, yes, but you are friends with someone who's been with had a girlfriend, whatever. It didn't work out between them, and then like you could potentially wife her up and
No,
in the circle be cool. Oh, okay.
I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm sure it has happened, but generally speaking, No, they're coming, Brittany. So
Yeah, I was like,
and we're not giving them more warnings. We're just talking at this point. So at this point,
I was
watch at
like,
your own risk. It's
right,
on
right.
you.
But we are on. We're Q and
we're on Q and Shelby
for
right
now.
now.
Mm-hmm.
But no, generally speaking, no. Right? Like, nah. You know, y'all was in a whole relationship. Now, I would say like Shelby and I think this dynamic is different because they go all the way back to college and they all kind of knew each other anyway. And we knew Shelby and Merch didn't belong together, right?
Right.
And so I would say if something like that were to happen, it's definitely a conversation that needs to happen among bros. You know, the fact that he smashed after the first wedding, that was out of bounds. So like, oh, but they played it like, oh, what did we do? We had a drunken night, whatever. But
right.
Even that has to be a conversation. You know, they're not together anymore. Like he left her or whatever, but it's like, hey, bro, like this happened. Or it's like, take it to your grave. But if you take it to your grave, you can't tell nobody. Don't even tell the other homies because the other homies might be like, hey, you got to tell them. It gets real murky, right? So,
yeah,
and I don't.
It seems like it would because Merch and Shelby didn't work because she was this aggressive, ridiculous personality that she's not over. Because then there's like, now I'm watching you be fairly cool over here
and vulnerable, and you going to get this dude, and you going out your way. Now, I will say this though. Merch was not in a position to show emotion about it because he was already married to Candace.
Oh yeah, no, that's true.
And so, like, you put yourself in the position of Candace and say, what you mad about him being with Shelby? You know, why do you have feelings about that? You know, and it's and it's not even about that. It's about like bro code. Like you broke. This is more about me and you than it is about her.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If they didn't, so I would have liked to see that conversation happen. But the way things moved, and she was like, she flying out to, you know what I'm saying, the islands to stop the wedding basically and to stake her claim. I don't think nobody can stop that train from moving. You know what I mean?
Now, ladies that are in the chat, like movies, TV, right? We clap for this kind of stuff. Dwayne Wayne busts in Whitley's wedding, and we're excited.
Baby, please,
right? But in real life, because I've now had a wedding, I know the money that went out for that. On your wedding day, wedding weekend, right? Somebody comes to profess and proclaim their love.
Like, what is that?
Right? Like, is that a good thing?
I don't know.
Because I mean, clearly in both situations, the person that, you know, made these drastic kind of actions, you know, they were met with the like, yes, I want to be with you too. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm glad you did that. But I mean, not that they're glad that they did that. But yeah, in real life, do you do that? You show up at somebody's wedding to like,
or
I said it would be a Megan Tory situation. Well, that's not. I'm sorry. I probably should laugh, but
yeah.
Also,
but
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But also, I wonder how many people have been in a relationship or about to get married and waiting to be saved from it. Like this person, like I'm not marrying the person that I wanted to be.
I really want.
You know, and then
the settle.
Oh, that's yeah.
And so now we can get into Harper and Robyn because that has been like on my tongue. They should have never got married. They should have never gotten.
And I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna say this early, and Robyn is trash.
And I'm not gonna fight you on that one.
Robyn is trash. Now, I will say this. I said several times that Harper stays, and it's hard not to cuss, but Harper stays effing up. Like, bro, and it's like he's not Harper's. I think Harper's biggest problem is he can't read a room. He doesn't read the room well, and he messes up even when he's trying to do right. You see what I'm saying? Like we didn't. So he learned from not telling Lance what needs to be told, right? And then in the second one, he listened to Jordan when he shouldn't have, and it should have told Lance right away about the book, you know. And then in this one, it's like, hey, I'm gonna tell him, but then I don't tell him right when I should have told him, you know. And then Lance flipped out, even though he acted cool, which I thought we were gonna go deeper in.
Yeah, I think that was just, you know, he was having a flashback about Mia, and I think he just popped off. I don't think he really had a problem with it because he has so many.
I don't like how they closed that off though, because it didn't come back to a conversation. It came back, oh yeah, don't worry about that. And that's it. Like, you had a whole movie about this, and now you wrap it up, and the bow is, don't worry about it.
Right. Well, what I got from the series was, and I kept waiting for that, right? Like they were making it a moment, like I gotta hurry up and tell Lance. I gotta hurry up and tell Lance. And then he got interrupted one time, and he got interrupted another time. Then he finally told him, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay, do you want to do that? Yeah, you know, I'm taking it seriously, but I want to get your blessing. Oh, okay, cool. And then, then there was that moment at the table after he had that flashback of me. And I was like, oh, so he's acting out, which was reinforced by the don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. What I saw in the series to be kind of like Harper, like you said, not reading the room. But for me, I think it's more about Harper not wanting to be the bad guy. Right.
Oh, absolutely.
And I saw that with Robyn. Right. Right. Somebody just put it in there. Right. It's cowardly. And he said as much. He was talking to Lance. I don't know what the conversation was about. It might have even been about the book, just an extended conversation. Like, I really have been trying, or I think he was talking to him about Q, because they were trying to figure out, like, is this really Q or what's going on with him? And I don't, he's not acting right. And so he said something to the effect of, I'm really trying to be a good friend, but you have to have these tough conversations, and it makes things awkward.
Hold on, Robyn ain't semi-trash. Robyn is trash.
Just trash. And I struggle with calling her trash because I don't. It's a shared blame, right? Because I was thinking like, okay, they should have never gotten married. He should have never. No, true. I'm just saying for me, I didn't want to outright call because I was just like, okay, what is really going on here? And so I said he should have never asked her to marry him. And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, she shouldn't have said yes. Like both of them knew, yes, they loved each other. Yes, they cared about each other. But in that first movie, right, like he literally left her at home to go sleep with his old friend. Like, I'm gonna get this out the way, and then you can come later, and I'm gonna introduce you to all my homies and blah blah blah. And she might not have been none the wiser. Like if the story went no drama, she might not have ever known, and then they could live happily ever after, I guess. But what if sleeping with Jordan really would have been like, oh, this illuminating, awakening experience?
But it always was. They knew what it was. They had that before without sleeping together. That's why they was trying to sleep together. Like it was always this moment they kept trying to revisit, and it happened several times. You see what I'm saying? Like,
and that's what I'm saying. She should have known instead of thinking, oh, because he asked me to marry him, or oh, because we have this kid together, or oh, whatever things, because I'm bending over backwards to support his dreams. Like, at the end of the day, he did not want you, or at least not in the way that he wanted this other woman.
Now, so the whole narrative, okay, oh, I'm supporting your dreams, I'm supporting you. I'm not going to say she wasn't supporting it, right? But it's almost like, what choice did you have? Like, he had a clear-cut path of what he was doing, and he was focused on that. Right now, I think it's also different in the series to where that he's already successful versus the other two when he was struggling. Like in the first movie, he's up and coming. And the second one, they down bad, like they broke,
Yeah.
they struggling. And so without his focus, they're not where they are, right? And so it's kind of like you want to benefit from the very thing that you're complaining about. You don't have the life that you have because you're not doing this. You're not creating this. You're not, as far as we know, you're not contributing to this. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I won't say she's not contributing, but I will say
Well, that's what I
I
said,
don't
as
think
far
she
as
had
we
her
know.
own. Yeah, she didn't have
Right.
her own tunnel vision like he did.
Or like
but
what?
I was going to also say, but they were on two different paths. Like he was very, like your point, he's very clear. He wants to be, win the Pulitzer Prize. He wants to be successful, be a successful author. But then, like, I need to change my content. I want to be, this notable author that is contributing to society and all of these types. I want to be a, thought leader and somebody to call me for lectures. And she seems to have settled into, and it's not a bad thing, it's just different, right? Like, I want to be a community activist. Like, when I was like, when did she become, when he called her to go to Kentucky, I didn't have words for it, but I was like, when did she become this Afrocentric? Gotta be at the motherland.
Right. So my problem with Robyn is like, okay, there is nothing wrong with trying to find your path, right? There is nothing wrong with finding yourself, but be honest about that. And I don't think she was being honest. You kept blaming him because you don't know what you want. And so when he started laundry listing on her ass, you wanted to do this, you wanted to do that. Like what am I supporting? What am I getting behind?
I remember the first movie when the guys were trying to she's a florist. She's
a chef, god damn it. Like, and he was catered for. So this has been the narrative for 3 movies. What am I supporting? And you keep getting mad at me talking about I don't support you. If I'm Harper, I'm asking the same question even now. What am I supporting?
Hashtag Boo is like, what is she going to Canada to do? I said, I think she's going to cook.
Right. Like, what are you doing? And you keep so when they was at the wedding and you see the little chick with the shack, and now, I want a shack on the island or whatever.
That's where I thought they were going. I didn't see Ghana.
Right. But first you want, so then I'm thinking like she's alluding like, let's just stay. Like, okay, so now you want to be in safe. Then it's got like, what are you doing? Why? And so my thing is like, I'm not gonna blame her for being frustrated, but like I think her frustration is misdirected. Like, at what point do you look inside and say, hey, I'm frustrated with me because I don't know how to navigate this? Number one, you're okay. Y'all are doing very well in life, right? And I get that's not enough. You want to carve your own path and everything else. I get that. Nothing wrong with that. But you never communicated that to him. You never said that to him. You wait until you get into counseling to say, and she didn't even say it. The therapist said it. So everything that you're feeling, someone else had to say. Even when when you made the decision to move to Ghana and take his daughter, you didn't even say that. The lawyer said it.
Yeah.
And then you got mad. And then it was like, oh, well, I didn't tell you because I knew how you was going to respond. But that's compromise. That's transparency. That's honesty. And then when he went back and filed for custody, you literally said, oh, how could you do that without telling me? Did you tell me you was taking my child to Ghana?
I thought a bee rolling off the front of your tongue. It was coming.
Like,
it was on its way. But yeah, I sat up in the bed like,
but Harper's
she's taking the kid to go. Like, it's one thing to be like, I'm going from New York to California. Even that, right, is like huge. But Ghana,
you see what I'm saying?
And she was like, I have to do. And my thought was like, to Callie Bell's point, we're gonna put that back up there, right? Like, you finally took a stand, right? Like you kind of, well, to your point, like she has not verbalized much of anything, right? She hasn't anything that she felt. She kind of either choked it back, or even when he, it was a scene in the early episode, maybe like episode 2, maybe top of 3, I think, because they were back home. right? Where he was really trying to get into like what she was doing, and she flipped it back on him like, oh, tell me about what's going on with you. And I don't know if that was because she wasn't really clear about what she wanted to do, or if she felt like this is what I'm supposed to do as a wife. I'm just supposed to push you, and then in silence, I'm gonna figure out my stuff on the back end.
And that's somehow his fault.
To her, yes, that's to her.
Right, no,
clearly,
saying,
that's
like,
what she felt.
No, because I'm saying because a lot of people are like, oh, he's trash because he did. She didn't communicate. She was horrible.
No, he's trash for a totally different reason. I don't think he's trash for the Robyn situation. I think he's trash because he did not follow his heart, and all of these other things are kind of emotion because you felt bad. You didn't want to be the bad guy, which ultimately keeps him being the bad guy. I don't want to stand up and, I don't want to be honest and tell my friend that I'm right. First of all, why'd you write this book? For 20 some odd years, I've been saying the same thing. Okay, Harper Stewart, why did you write this book?
Yeah, that was trash. Putting everybody's business out there.
Yeah, even when whatever he's doodling on the notepad that Robyn found later, I was like, is he writing more stuff? Like, why are you detailing real life in a way that people can connect? Like, if you're not smart enough to disconnect yourself from your dirt, please don't write about it. But he's continuing to do this.
But art imitates life. Like, that's usually inspiration. Like, when you write and you create, you're typically coming, even if you embellish, you're typically coming from a place of experience.
Well, embellish. Don't directly connect it. Is 5 friends in real life, 5 friends in the book. We all went to college together. They went to college together. Like, come on.
Well, there's no movie if he doesn't do it, so we know why he's got to do that.
Yeah, that part, movie, right? That part. But if we're talking about life, I was just like that part.
Yeah. So
and then
go ahead.
No, I was just saying, and then, going on to live this life, it's fraudulent. It's fraudulent because this is not the person that you really wanted to be with. And so it kind of made me sad because, I was like, he would have never left her. He would have never divorced her. Like, if she didn't file, he wouldn't have filed. And even after she filed, he was just like, how can we make it work?
Right, because he's trying to make it work. He's trying to. I saw Harper, like, for all his trash traits in that marriage, I did see him compromise. I did see him communicate with her. She kept agreeing to stuff that she didn't really want. That's your fault. Like, he asked you straight out, right? And as a matter of fact,
you talking about that house? Because he was kind of badgering her on that. But I wanted her to stick to her guns on that.
So,
but it was just a mismatch, right?
Somebody might.
He wants to be George Jefferson. Yeah. She wants to be,
but also safety, which played out when she got arrested. Like, I want to, like, everybody else is living in these affluent areas and, doing their thing, right? Well, Jordan, I think she lived in Brooklyn, so maybe not so much. But he asked her, though. You see what I'm saying? Regardless of whether he's badgering her or not, she could have said, like, give me time. Like, let the woman think. Okay, cool. But when she decided, how did he do her dirt?
And so, okay, here we go. I can read between the lines. I can read between the lines on this one.
She decided that.
She did, but we have to think about, like, motive and intent and what I think is going to happen, right? And I don't think it was a dirty. I just think, like, she was clear in the beginning. It was clear to me. She did not want to move. He asked her again, which for her, I'm assuming is like, okay, he's not gonna let this go. And it's something that I can give on, but my expectation, to your point, she's not verbalizing any of this, but on the inside, it's like, when it's time for me, if I give him something that he knows I do not want, when it's time for me, he is going to show up. And when that restaurant deal fell through, that felt like a slap in the face to her. Like, dang, I don't even want to be here. But I'm going ahead and doing it, but I'm asking for this, and you let me down when I came through for you. Now, again, nobody's talking about it, so that's kind of her bad. But I do understand, that.
I'm not 100% on Harper's side when with the whole restaurant thing, but I understand his point as well. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
financially, and I get it, just because you're doing well financially doesn't mean you just blow it, or whatever. So he was like, this is expensive and you haven't shown consistency in anything, and like, we're gonna spend this money on this thing that you want to do, and you've not been committed to anything, right? So there's that part, but then there's the whole, this is something that I want to do and I want you to support me. So I get
And
that
you
now.
said you were
And
going
you
to.
said you would. So no argument, no argument there. Like, that
Yeah.
could go either way, but no argument there. But with the house, she was reading his writing, something like that he set out. She's in his stuff, and she told him, wherever this energy is, this is where I want to be. That's what she
Right.
said.
But she didn't get that.
No, but that's what she said. So
She did say that.
he didn't trick her into the house. She said it.
You
She
right.
agreed to that. Now, the thing is, you can't blame him for you not taking a stance on what you want, especially when he's demonstrated. If he's modeling what you should be doing, I want this, I'm going after that. You see what I'm saying? And took half about right. But also, even when they filed for divorce, he was leaving her everything. You can have the house. You can, like,
Here's the disconnect. She never wanted it. That was my whole issue with looking at the two of them. He looked at like success,
mhm.
right? Having the best sellers, living in the best neighborhoods, being able to send my kid to the best school is noble. Nothing wrong with that. But it's not what she wanted. And whatever communication or non-communication they had going on, she wanted to raise, be a hippie and raise her kid to be. I mean, I thought the way that they both interacted with and raised me, it was absolutely beautiful. For all their differences, they seem to have gotten that part
Except getting
together.
arrested. Like,
Well, even with that, I don't know. I don't. That part is a little fuzzy for me in terms of like why she was there. Like, was she going about life and something happened, or she went to a
no,
protest?
she was like, took her down there. I guess they was at a protest or blah 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 blah. Like, she was projecting so much on her daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I don't want her growing up experiencing this. Like, she ain't experienced that yet. Like, that's not something she should have saw. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
That's not something she should have been around. If you want to protest and you want to be an activist, cool, but don't subject the child to that. It's not time for her. That baby's 8 years old.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you can teach her, like, hey, in small doses, but to take her down there and for her to have to witness her mom getting arrested, that was about you. That wasn't about her. That was about you.
And so was the move to Ghana. Quite frankly, I
Right.
was just
All of
like,
that. And so
okay,
she was like,
you
I
figured
want to
out what
find
you wanted.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So
Yeah.
I had no problem with her wanting to move to Ghana, but leave that man as child then. Or talk to him about what you're trying to do. Because I think the selfish part about that part was that had nothing to do. They were already divorcing. You finding yourself now, hey, we're divorced, go do you. But this is about my child. He didn't care
Yeah.
nothing about her going, you're taking my child. And then they villainized him for wanting to be a father and be around my child was something that you didn't discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I get it,
Yeah.
but also I still don't agree with that, right? So here's an example that I gave, right? Like, because someone said, oh, well, kids got to learn and kids got to know like what the real word is. Let's take with Mia. Mia's gonna learn what sex is one day. You gonna sit there and watch porn with her so she can experience it, or are we gonna wait for it to be time?
Oh God.
Right? There's a
Self-explanatory.
no. It's an extreme example. It's an extreme example, but you're not gonna expose them to everything that they're going to experience until it's like they don't need that. Let her be innocent. Let her
Mm-hmm.
have this world purview. In enough time, she's gonna experience. She's gonna have the black woman experience,
Yeah.
right? And you can prepare her for these things, but like I think that was just early. And then for him to think like, I don't know if my child and my wife is safe. Number one, I'm getting a call.
Yeah.
And I can't protect them. You know what I mean? And so, and then like, I think that pushed his narrative. I want to move away from here. Let's go over here to this nicer area, right? And so we keep saying, like people say, she didn't want the house. So say that, right? If we're so big on communication and being forthright, right? Because that's what, as men, that's what we're expected to do. Say it, be honest. And to your point, you've said in a lot of episodes, what are you afraid of? Right? You like, I'm not going to. So, you know me and saying,
ain't nobody getting no whoopings.
Ain't nobody getting no whoopings. So it's like, you don't feel supported, you don't feel this, you don't, but you're also not saying that. And now when it comes to a head, it's somehow all his fault that you haven't found your way. And again, it's not, I'm not blaming her for having not found her way, but you also can't blame him for that.
Yeah.
And you can't blame
the blame part is
right. Instead of saying, hey, this is how, like, feelings are valid, but feelings aren't facts, right? So this is how I'm feeling. I feel like you're not supporting me. Blah, 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 blah. Instead of having that conversation, you're just doing this, right? And I will acknowledge it's got to be hard watching him, boom, boom. Oh, I got this movie deal, this multi-million-dollar movie deal, and this next book, and I'm killing it, and she's still trying to find her way. And then what she wanted was far more modest than what he wanted, right? There was a disparity, like you said, as far as like their life path. So you're telling this man that like everything that's important to him, she wants the opposite. And so it's kind of like to have him, he's like, I got to make this whole shit. Like, this is not who I am. The little shack on the beach is not who I am. Like, and that's the part where I connect with him because I'm a next thing kind of guy. You know, it's like I'm accomplished this. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? You know.
Yes. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
And what he avoided, right? Difficult conversations with loved ones that result in pain are typically avoided. They usually happen when someone has reached a breaking point. And I was waiting for you to.
But did he avoid that with her? He avoided difficult conversations with his friends. He didn't avoid difficult conversations.
No, there were times. So when she would mention things, you could see like the pain in his face. Like, let's just take Ghana when she was going for the summer, right?
Uh-huh.
That conversation, he knew. Even if he didn't have the meetings, because that part kind of came up, he did not want to go. Period.
I blame him.
Not even a little bit.
Her frustration is valid there. Like a month, you can do that, bro. And he didn't prioritize that.
And so he made her feel like, okay, yeah, this is something we're gonna do as a family. And then it was like, oh, I think. Wait, when did you say we're gonna be there? You know, like, don't play games with me. Like, don't let's not play these games, right? You don't want to go at all. You might be willing to give us a couple of weeks or do a little one, whatever, but you don't really want to go and have this experience the way she wanted to have now. Hashtag Boo said, well, what kind of experience if she's going to be cooking or training or whatever? I'm gonna be stuck with the kid running around Ghana. So that's valid too. Like, what does this experience even look like for us as a family? Or am I just going to babysit the kid? Because if that's the case, I could do that here and
now,
you could go to Ghana.
Now I agree with her, regardless of what the experience is. I'm asking you for this specific allotted amount of time that you can create, right?
Yeah.
You're not really pinned down to anything like that to where you can't do this, and you prioritize your career.
Except the movie had just come out, and so if we're talking about the next level or the next move, that's
he didn't even offer a compromise, like for something that she wanted, that she really wanted. So. I
can go there, but I'm gonna have to come back to the States for this period of time.
Yeah, so on that one, I'm on her side. Like, bro, you dropped the ball. That was a missed opportunity, and you prioritized yourself over your family or over your wife, rather, because Mia don't care where she at. So, but just overall, I think it was easy to villainize him in other areas because he was messing up over here so much. right? The way they spoke about their goals wasn't in depth. It was more open with Jordan about the movie when he was well, because him and Jordan were so much alike, and Jordan's really the only person that got his friends got him, but him and Jordan were kindred spirits. That's his person.
And again, this is why this was doomed from the beginning. This was all of this is playing out of the I hurt her by her finding out in this public manner that I came to this wedding to sleep with my homegirl that I really still have feelings for, but I'm going to try to act like I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and propose to you at somebody else's wedding.
Well, she only found out because he told her.
Which, okay. You know, but that I'm sure I can't imagine
which was stupid
that ever goes away. Like, okay, we're all friends and we're hanging out, but it's in print. Now it's a movie. How much you guys are like.
But you saw that in the scene when they were watching the movie, and then they were on screen and the love scene came on, and like it was tense.
Yeah, it was like, oh, yeah. Everybody saw it. The friends saw it. But now the whole world is seeing it.
But all the friends was giggling about it. That's like, oh, here it is. We are.
Yeah.
And then,
So he has this connection with her, and it was so funny because it was giving me Brown Sugar vibes, but just with the wrong character. Because I was like, him and Sanaa and Brown Sugar is like him and Robyn in this movie. But yeah, I was just like, this is doomed to fail because you're always he's gonna always be reminded of, or perhaps act inappropriate, like the fact that, okay, we're supposed to be hanging out after my big night. It's just us. Why are we going back to your? I was trying to figure out how any of that needed to happen, you know, so that all these other things could go down.
It was probably about as necessary as old boy coming to the house with these heaters.
What was I supposed to do? Freeze to death? Now that part I didn't understand.
He could have went and picked up some heater, but you got another man in your house while your husband is gone. That is out of bounds. I don't give it.
That is out of bounds. Well, so if it's a service person,
period.
The man.
He wasn't no. Look, you know what it is. You know what it is. While she's sitting there gawking, eating his mushrooms. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, she was.
And your hunger's like you got to bounce. So
she was wrong for that.
You didn't call him.
And I really thought that he was. I thought he was going to Ghana. I didn't know where that was going.
And not only that. Not that it's right. Like, okay, he's got this dynamic with Jordan, but you know about this. He's told you about this. Y'all have talked about this. You got this whole other dude that you going all the way across town to buy some mushrooms from, and you got this whole vibe. And you ain't tell him like, this is the dude that you want to purchase this place from, or this is the connect or something like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, Harper didn't know about him at all.
At all.
And now,
that is real life.
You know,
that's real life right there.
And this man is in your house.
Yeah.
Now Harper. Now, granted, like Harper didn't know about that, and then you got the thing with Jordan. So one doesn't justify the other because Harper never even knew about that. So it can't be like, oh, well, she did this, so he was okay. Like he didn't even know about that. So they're trashed separately, but she was still trash. You see what I'm saying? And so it's easy to project all this stuff that you're doing, and then you question him about what happened with him and Jordan. What happened with you and old boy? Why you vibing and all up in his energy? You see what I'm saying? And that's how the Ghana thing came along, because he was talking about all the travel and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's how she got the idea.
Yeah.
So was he in Ghana? Like, where was he? You know, and I get, because he was like on the same thing. He got the little stand at the little farmer's market. That's her jam, right? Just like Jordan is climbing a professional ladder. That's his jam. So you know, you connected with people that's more like you. I get it. But you're not being forthright. You see what I'm saying? And so I connected with that part because I've been in that situation where you own him for this, and this, but over here, you got this whole thing going on that you're not being forthright about. And you're justifying it because you're frustrated or he's not supporting you, all of which you're not even communicating. He's supposed to read your mind and know what you're feeling. You see what I'm saying? He's supposed to. And she goes, well, I consider you. Okay, dope, but I have to learn how to do this. I'm used to doing me and blah, 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 blah. Not that it's justifiable, but sometimes you have to train people like, okay, how do I consider you? Like when you consider me, what's the thought part? I'm not used to this, babe. This is a growth area. And he was saying that I need to learn. I need to compromise. I need to,
But okay, yes. But how long were they married?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter. If you don't know how to compromise and you don't know how to consider your mate and they've been together at least a decade.
Yeah, but if you're never having this conversation and this is the first time you're saying this is how I feel about this.
Yes, but also
like I get it. Like if you're not a mind reader, you don't spend decades becoming a mind reader. So it's like,
no, I'm not talking about reading minds. I'm trying to figure out how you're married to somebody and you don't think that considering them is something that you should be doing.
Well, he didn't say I don't consider you. She said I consider you. I'm kind of speaking for him in that regard. But what I'm saying is when you're used to being a certain way, regardless of how long it's been, are you going to learn? Are you going to turn the corner? Are you going to try? Right?
Okay, no, I get that. I get that. Yeah, I think I'm with her and maybe women are like this because certain things to us we feel like are a given, and I think that's how we butt heads with men sometimes, because you guys are like, say it, and we're like, aren't you in the same relationship we're in?
Yeah, but and then you can't say, oh well, be honest and da 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 da, and then but be honest, say the things, but also read my mind. Like, nothing is a given.
Right, but I'm just saying that is how we feel about a lot of things. If we're in the same place, you and I are here, and we're watching the ticker go across the screen right here. Do I have to say, look down at the ticker going across the screen? Like we are like, we're both here. We looking at the same thing. You don't see that right here?
Because I might be looking at, I'm watching.
And that's why that's why the fight. That is how the fight breaks out.
But I think the disconnect comes with the average person only considers themselves and how they think and see the world, right? Because even she's doing that, even saying I consider you, you're still only looking at it from your lens, right? I consider you, so you should be considering me, but you're doing what your version of considering is. Also, not taking into consideration, he doesn't think in the way that you need him to think. Like, what does consider you look like? What does that mean? And we say that, like, we could say, hey, consider the other person, and think you like, well, you should just know what that means. You may not even know what that means, right? Like, in what areas? All areas, like, hey, I brought home dinner, I considered you, but then he was like, did you think to call me and ask what I wanted? Did you?
Well, yeah, I don't believe in stuff like that, but I know. Well, no,
but I'm saying, but that could be
ridiculous.
That could be no. It could be like, oh, you went got this pizza, but I don't like mushrooms. You've never even asked what I like on my pizza. You don't know me. Like, I'm just giving examples, but like there's so much that we think that we don't have to communicate about. Right. And then we blame our partner, both. I'm not saying this is like men and women,
both sides.
Like, and I know I've done it. It's like, you can't even notice. Like, we want people to, it feels great for people to do things without asking. I get it, but that's not always real life. And so you sit back and you get mad that this person is not doing something that you've never said. So would you rather just go without, or would you rather communicate, say, hey, I enjoy this, or I would appreciate it if you did this, or when you don't do this, it makes me feel like these are conversations.
That's mature. Yeah. I can't argue with that. I'm just saying there are some things that, I believe I can only speak for women because I'm on this side, but I would assume anybody, it's just like, you don't see this, and why do I have to say this? Because I'm on record, and if I say it, I have said it. Like, I don't want to be saying it and saying it and saying it. So that's an area of opportunity, because sometimes the way, even if you do communicate it, you may have to communicate it differently for the person to receive it. Let's see. Dr. Lee, I agree, but I also feel like the extra studying and work to learn your mate occurs more often in the dating phase.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's good. So are you saying that by the time people get married, they're like, okay, I already know you and I don't
Complacent.
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That could be,
that's
yeah.
it.
Yeah. I think now I'm not saying like just sit back and wait for somebody to say something. Um, but as so men, we're not we're not generally as detail oriented, right? It's kind of like we deal with what's in front of us. And it's
Mm.
like where you think like you don't see this, it's like no, because my mind, we're very singular in our thinking. We don't think about a whole bunch of things at once. It's like I'm focused here right now and then I focus there. Where women tend to be like, oh, we got this, I got this, got this, got this. You know what I mean? That's not how we do. So no, I don't see the ticker. There's two people on the screen that I'm watching. Why would I be looking at the ticker? I'm listening to what they're saying, right? To where, so that's almost like, why didn't you fix the sink? What are you talking about? Is the sink broken? How do you not know that it's been dripping for 3 days? You don't hear that? Well, no, because I've been fixing the washer and dryer that needed to be fixed. Like,
I mean, I get it. I get it.
and so it's kind of like, hey, I need you to be more attentive to what things. So understanding your partner is always a work in progress. Agreed. And that's another thing. Like, soon as you think you mastered something, they done evolved into it.
Child. And that is so scary to think about. Like, yeah, you've learned someone, you've gotten to the dating phase, you made it official, your boyfriend, girlfriend. Okay, we're getting married, we're married. And in a decade, 5 years, maybe not even a decade, like, oh, this is going to be a brand new person.
Right.
And what I said back then applies today. I'm gonna still, it's still my duty to know you and to understand and to work through things with you. The things that we used to like together, now all of a sudden you don't like it anymore.
But that's real shit. Listen, yesterday's price ain't today's price.
Dang.
Yesterday's person ain't today's person. And what do? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. That's scary to me.
That's very scary because you don't know how to navigate that. Like, it's literally a different person, or you could be the different. You could be.
I definitely become the different person, but it's. I don't know. I just think the central narrative, especially with Robyn, and I here's another thing that pissed me off when everybody started getting in it. Like when she showed up in the house.
I was shocked at that. Well, first of all, she invited that because everybody was there.
But everybody was caping for her. She came in. He was like, "You want to do this now?" And he was like, "Okay." But then everybody starts caping for her.
They did.
And then Mark, I wasn't feeling
Mark. Well, except Q. Oh yeah, Q was like, "Do whatever you gotta do."
But I feel like he. But
now, we're not gonna get to everything. So are we gonna do a part 2 next week?
We're probably gonna have to. Because I will say this about Q. Like, I agree with Q. I agree with Q, and Q was also wrong, right? Like, he was right in what he felt and what he said, wrong of how and when he said it. Because if you was having a problem with not knowing, which he had a problem with, that was a conversation that y'all should have had long before that moment. Like, why are you saying this now? You know what I'm saying? When everything is all, and he knew he was wrong. That's why he did the whole apology thing. But like,
so she's saying everybody was really focused on Mia, like what would be the best for her. And I struggle with that because the baby was broke down.
She wanted to be around both of them.
Dad. Like,
she wanted to be around her dad.
She was
not. I'm not saying
come with us. Like,
she wanted to be with both parents. You know what I'm saying? And so,
I don't know if that was.
And who's disrupting that? Robyn was disrupting that, and it's the way that you did it. And now, like, the biggest problem I had with that scene is you bust in there mad for him doing the very thing you just did. And more
I wanted to see that play out, but also, I don't want the baby.
And then you got Shelby like, "Oh, a mom knows what's best."
Shit. Hashtag blue. In my brain, I saw him go from like reclining position to standing up on the bed. Like, he jumped up so fast and was like, I can't even
I
say
called
what
her
he
so
said because
many. I called her so
we
many
censored.
views.
He hit the BS real fast. That was
And
the first thing out of his mouth.
Candace jumping in it and blah 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 blah. And then Merch got a cape for his wife. I get it, but you wrong, bro. Like she was wrong. You see what I'm saying? So all of that, y'all jumping on hard. Like, what was this man supposed to do? Like, I'm in a mediation to where I'm literally willing to give her everything for her well-being and my daughter. Take it. And then you blindside me, and I have a lawyer tell me, not you, not a private conversation. A lawyer tells me you're moving out the country with my child, and you think that I'm about to what? And you think that that's okay? And now you come, oh, you filed for what was I supposed to do? Like you're mad at this man for fighting for his child because you're making it about you, and you want to call her as selfish as you want to call him.
She know that she was not gonna get that kid. That's what that was about. Because
and she shouldn't have. Because one, what you going to Ghana to do what? How you gonna support him out?
As that played out, she wouldn't have been on the winning end. I don't think. I mean, the mother card is always, that's a card to play, right? Like,
always
judge, but in terms of, him being settled, if he was going to maintain the house and all this kind of stuff, and his career and profile or whatever, he would have been a strong contender.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And so this too. I just like, there's so many things for us to explore, but we would be on here all.
But I disagree with that particular scene. We saw that play. That you're right in like all the other situations and stuff like that. Like Harper's about Harper, but this man is thinking about his daughter. And that area. And so that's what I'm saying. And throughout the series, we want to take everything else that Harper did and always lump it into all encompassing instead of situation for situation.
I agree with that, because I think that statement was about all these things that you have done, and definitely what you've done to me, how you've embarrassed me in front of, all these people, even though my thought was like, but Merch, you know who you were, even if you're not that person anymore.
You the one out here fighting MMA to go prove your manhood. Like, you think the same thing, bro.
Yeah, like, I was like,
keep it up, But even if so, my problem with Merch in that moment is that was not the moment to do that. Like, there was a conversation that you needed to have with Hart. That wasn't. This man is trying to be with his daughter, and y'all telling him, "Oh, move to Ghana, do what's right." That's not what's right for this man. You see what I'm saying? Like, why do I have to uproot my life? We're not together anymore. Now, if I was still married to her, that's a different conversation of where we're gonna move, where we're gonna live, right? We had that conversation with the house. We are not together. You see what I'm saying? And so I think, like that free spirit. Harper was more about structure. She's not. It's like, hey, let's just. So where would they be following her? And I don't. The only thing that I struggle with Robyn is I get the feeling. I acknowledge the feeling. I can even identify with the feeling, right? The problem is, what is he supporting? What were you ever consistent with? What did you ever stick?
Well, the cooking thing, I think, has been a thing, right? Like, that is, she is a career chef. So I don't think we have to ask, like, what is it that, like, that is what she's been doing since the start of the franchise. They have alluded to whatever she did before then, but since then, she has been fairly consistent with that.
But he named different things she was trying to even do with that. It's like, okay, are you owning a restaurant? Are you doing, like, what are you doing?
As a multi-hyphenate, I'm not going to get on somebody for changing paths and pivoting as necessary, and especially because they did write in the pandemic. I don't know if that has...
You're a multi-hyphenate, but you started somewhere and then branched off into other things. You didn't just, I'm doing this and this and this and this and this. It's like, I'm doing this and this is going in, and now I'm starting this up and now I'm starting this up. You branched off into other things. Okay. You didn't just right. You were very strategic, and like, multi-hyphenate is fine, but you've always been structured in how you've done it. I'm doing this. I built this business, right? Now this is going, and now I'm building this business, and now this is going, and now I'm building this business. So you've got several brands, but you've always established one before you went on to the next one. and you're still doing those brands. Like it wasn't I'm doing this and now I'm doing that. It's I'm doing this and also
I'm doing that. Okay,
that's not Robyn.
I tried to help, sis.
No, that's not Robyn.
But
you gotta do that with somebody who wasn't there.
I was just saying, I mean, doing different things and how the pandemic affected things too. Like they didn't spend a lot of time with that, but I'm just saying that's a possibility.
You see Dr. Lee's comment exactly.
Oh, let me put it on here.
Right.
Harper's grind is what allowed her spirit to be, and we can't gloss over that. I'm just saying, and here's the biggest thing, right? Like making the wrong decision when it comes to your partner can just affect everything else. True, right? Fact. Like, I mean, I think they both still benefited from the situation, this being her benefit. And for him, like he said, I would not have been able to even do this without her. She always was pumping him up. She was always gassing him, always like, you can do this, baby, don't worry. Even when they were blowing up at the table during the ring ceremony, she was like, baby, it's okay. Like it was always this calming force for him. So,
So do you think, do you believe that he wouldn't be what he is had he been with Jordan?
Oh, I didn't say that. I was
I'm saying no, because he said like, oh,
well, it's different. Right. It's different because now you have two ambitious people with their own paths, right?
But I'm saying he was ambitious before he got with her.
No, I understand. I'm talking about in the way that Robyn supported him. Would Jordan be a cheerleader, or would she be expecting a cheerleader? Yeah, exactly. So when you said would he be,
well, I don't mean I think she'll be a cheerleader, but not just one that's on the sidelines cheering for you while you do your thing. It's like, hey, you're doing great over there, but
if her thing rivaled his thing, right? Like if in this point in time, my thing is taking me this way and yours is taking you this way, I'll see you when we get there. Like she might just,
but I think the way that this was playing out, I think he may have been okay. They
Michelle and Obama.
He was always over here doing his thing anyway, right? The way that they played out. Oh, you're gone. We don't hear from Hart for months. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think they should have explored it. How we don't know what that would have looked like.
I think Jordan and Harper would still be where they are because in the original, that's who they're portrayed to be. They're just driven. Like this is what I do. Now, I think having a good woman does make that path easier. You see what I'm saying? And this is being like somebody with being single. Like having a supportive woman is always better than not. You know what I mean? Somebody that's behind you, somebody that's cheering you on. So I'm not going to gloss over it. Do I think Harper would still be successful? Sure, I do. But I'm not saying that the success.
But would he have done some of the same things, right? Like he might not have really believed in himself after. We're talking about in Holiday when things were kind of down. You know what I'm saying? Like the path would have likely been a little different. But I'm not taking away from him.
I do think she brought something and contributed to his success and everything else. Like I'm not going to take her being a wife, and being supportive. I think the frustration was her feeling like I'm not getting the same thing. Like I'm not questioning what she gave to him. I'm just frustrated with her lack of communication for going about getting what she needs from him, and he can be more aware and involved and use. I would say this is where I would find fault with Harper. And I know we got to close it. We've been on this one. It's your wife is not on the path that she wants to be on. She hasn't found her groove. And you're so consumed with yours that you're not helping her, or seemingly you're not helping her get to it. Like, hey, try this or da. Like, it's kind of like, okay, you want to do this, throw some money at it or something like that. But like, have you sat and talked and give suggestions and help map it out like the same way you've mapped out your career? Have you done that with her instead of just waiting, sitting back, waiting to cheer for something, because that's not necessarily what you needed. Like
Mm-hmm.
you didn't need her to give you what you're doing, but that's what she might have needed. She may not be that brain. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to throw around, but I'm not ready to just say Harper's trash by himself. That scene was very triggering. And I think the scene that I did break down on this scene. The scene where she was already gone and he was sitting on the couch alone, like in the dark, depressed, and his boy showed up. Like,
I was like, it's poker time.
I was like, damn. You know what I'm saying? That was, you know, and they didn't talk about it. They just showed up. Like, come on, bro. Like, that was despite everything, even merch coming through. Like, we still got unfinished business, but in this moment, we're here to support.
We hear about you.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so they was there to heal and everything else. And I think at some point, like, they all did that for one another, except merch. I don't think there was no rallying around merch, you know.
Well, they showed up to his MMA fight.
Well, I meant when he was like, there was no point where he was like broke down and then the group rallied around him.
Right.
You know,
I just thought it was the showing it because Q sent the text like, merch needs us. I thought something had happened to him, and I was like, oh
yeah. Well, I guess so. It's like, yeah, they showed up for him, but that wasn't a moment to where he was.
There was no discussion about it.
Yeah, there was no like, I'm at my bottom and I need y'all to rally. Like, Q was going through.
Q told Harper, because you know, again, maybe just the awareness, like he's just aloof, I guess. And so he's like, you know, that hurt his feelings. And so, you know, just even being aware of that, and it was spoken out loud.
Yeah. So y'all, we definitely have to continue this discussion. The show is normally an hour. We've gone to we kind of knew that, but definitely, like, please join the community, subscribe, email us if you have questions. If there's things that we didn't touch on in today's discussion that you want us to touch on the next time. This gives a lot of time for those who haven't watched the whole series to catch up.
Brittany, that's you.
Yeah, if she's on, we don't know where Brittany is.
Well, she said she was gonna watch later, so let her know.
So Brittany, you should be ready for next week. But go to our Bitly right there on the screen and join the Facebook community. Send us an email. Stay connected with us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can get everything that we're doing. We have a goal. Please share this channel with your friends. We want more people to be involved in the discussion. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We it's always just so much fun when we're able to do this, but we have more content coming and we want to grow the community and the channel even more. So we appreciate your support and your continued support. So any thoughts going out, Dre?
Well, this is our last live of 2022.
Oh, dang, I didn't even think about that one. Yeah,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, the time is changing. So the next time that you see us, God willing, it'll be 2023. And season 2 will be kicking off. We'll make sure to give you more information about that. But we're having a lot of fun, you know, just kicking it with you live each week. As Barzini said, you know, we have a goal. And so, you know, we're just asking you as you come here, invite somebody, and all of you subscribe so that you are a part of our family. But final thoughts. I don't really have final because we're going to talk about this again, right? But for what we talked about, I think, and I mentioned it before, like choosing the right partner, choosing the right friend, choosing, you know, the right person to be in connection with is so important because it really informs and impacts the rest of our lives, or the time that you're connected. And the decisions that we make are also very important. And when we throw caution to the wind and we're just like, you know, things can happen that we can otherwise avoid. And I don't think anybody deserves, you know, to have their child taken away from them in such a fashion that we saw. However, like you're with someone that I'm sure you don't even think has the like capacity to do that, and you find out, when the rubber meets the road, as my grandma would say. So, it's just important for us to make solid decisions. Don't rush into things. And then when things are not going the way that you would want them to go, then that communication piece is real. And Barzini's kind of drilled that into us today, but it's serious. And like I said, it's not even just about communicating. Sometimes it's about communicating again or differently. Because just because we say it doesn't mean that the person receives it. And one thing that I know I have gotten from this show and these interactions that I get to have with my best friend and each of you is like, wow, it's bigger than me, and that, right? But it's an awesome reminder that like everybody doesn't think the way that you think, and they don't have to. Everybody doesn't act the way that you act, and they don't have to. And the real gift, but also sometimes it's a point of contention, is learning how to navigate that, right? Like you're in the world with so many different people. I remember when I first went to SC, Fight On, and just seeing the differences, right? Like LA kids, we didn't speak to people like
Right.
stranger danger. We don't talk to
Like
anybody.
what you say to me? Hi.
And people are like, hi, how are you? Shout out to my Houston crew. Like we knew the people that were coming from the South because they always were talking.
Mm-hmm. Listen, that's something I have to get used to that out here. People talk to you.
Yeah, and right. And we're like, excuse you. So, it's the same thing, when you get into these relationships, learning how to navigate. And sometimes, as we navigate these relationships, we find ourselves changing as well. And so that's always, well, sometimes it's a good thing as well to evolve and to mature and to become a better version of yourself. That's always a good thing. So those are my kind of final thoughts for this evening. But happy New Year to everyone, and look forward to seeing you on the other side.
Yeah. So for me, I think the couple of takeaways for me, if I can say two words, it would be fatherhood and friendship. Because those are the things that like stood out. And y'all, when I get the reason why I was so passionate about that scene with his daughter being taken away, and for those, some people know this about me, something I was raised by my father, right? He raised his two sons, and it wasn't a custody battle or something like that. My daddy called my mama after they divorced and said, "Hey, I want to raise my boys," and my mama said, "Here you go." Not that she didn't want us, but that's what she thought was best. He was a good man. He was a good dad. And he did his thing, And so when we talk about these narratives, like dad's this, dad's that, men, like you can't tell me that. You can't tell me that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that people don't have that experience, but what I mean is our lens is always catered to our experience. So I see fathers, I see this because this is what I come from. And so if you came from the opposite of that, that's what you're going to see. That's what sticks out to you. It's not like these other things aren't in front of you, but your experience is what you're keen to. And so I did have to learn that my experience is not everybody's experience. Like I've had my daddy my whole life. I'm a grown man that still calls my father daddy because that's what he is. Like that was my experience. I don't know what it's like not to have a father, actively involved to this day. And so I don't take that for granted for other people that don't have it. But on the flip side, my negative experiences have come from women. And so we also discount that. And we I see a lot of, oh, we gonna cape for her. There's a reason. Well, when a woman is mad, it's a reason, or she's this and she's that. I'm like, nah, like she's just as trash as these men that you talk about. Two things can be true.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, it's just understanding and accepting that there's varying experiences, lenses, and narratives, and be able to work through there. And the friendship part of it, like, hey, y'all, get you some friends, get you
For
some
real.
true friends. Like, there's few things in this world that's more valuable than true friends, like, that are there that you can call and unpack and unload, and you know what I mean. So for all my friends, for all my truths that just been there for over the years, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you. Me and Dre got stories for days, y'all. We go back 20 years plus with all of this. Um, and I'm looking forward to 20 more. Like, we're different people now, we different things, but it's we still 10 toes down for each other, and that's never gonna change. So until next week, y'all, we love y'all. We hope you tune in. Please share this, tune in, stay on the page, follow us. We love this and everything else. But until then, always remember, be
Be
free
free
to be
to
you.
be you.
We
Bye,
love y'all.
guys.